Aloha lava. My name is Dahlia Malaeulu. I am a mother, educator, and author of Mila's Gagana series, a set of early Samoan language readers for preschool and junior primary school students, as well as author of Teine Sāmoa, which is a young adult fiction ebook. So, first question is who or what inspired me to write? Firstly, I think my views and experiences as a New Zealand-born Samoan has helped me to journal or to blog. I'm also a mother to my two boys, Mason and Dahlia Malaeulu. They inspired the first books I wrote for the Mila's Gagana series. Then as a teacher, my students' stories and classroom experiences have inspired me to write articles for different online platforms. Finally, I support teachers through professional development. So this just means I help teachers to teach. And these experiences really inspired my first young adult ebook, Teine Sāmoa. So it's really my own roles and experiences combined with other people's stories that actually help to inspire my writing. Why did I choose to write? I actually believe I was a bit of an accidental author because I was never really trying to be an author. I became an author through inquiry. Or the inquiry process, something a lot of students and teachers know about. I noticed there was a real need for more Pasifika books. I couldn't find many Pasifika books that reflected our Pasifika languages, our values, our culture, and our tamaiti, our children. And as a mother of two Samoan boys, I wanted to make sure that they could have books that they could see themselves in, connect to, relate to, also just to help them read more and learn about their culture at the same time, because it's really important for us as parents for our children to know who they are. So after kind of finding out the need of needing more Pasifika books, I completed a lot of research, did a lot of questioning and reflecting, got a lot of feedback, which is all involved in inquiry. Then as a result, I wrote and created my first books, Mila's Gagana series. Some books that are really important to me, obviously, the Mila's Gagana series, because my children not only inspired them, but the characters are actually based on real life family members. So my son, Mason, is really curious and he loves cleaning up, and his book's called Mace's Room. His cousin, Mila, loved to share. She's got a beautiful heart, and she is actually Samoan and New Zealand European, or Pākehā or Palangi. So it was important for me to have her represented, and a lot of children who have two or more different cultures represented in the book. So her book's called Mila Shares. And the third book is called Langi Spies, and it's actually based around my mother. And she's really sociable, has a lot of friends. So the book is around the character playing with her friends and learning different Samoan colours. So that's Mila's Gagana series. Also, my second book is also really important to me because it reminds me of all my students that I've taught, all the important conversations that I've been privileged to be part of with my students as well as teachers, and the challenges that they've faced. So it's really important for me because this particular book, because it kind of reflected my own New Zealand-born Samoan journey, having to learn about who I am and the importance of knowing why I am the way I am. So those are my two books, are quite personal and quite important in terms of my identity and my culture. So those are some really important ones. outside of my own books. Before I became an author, a Māori author called Wainuiomata Maira wrote a book of short stories called The New Net Goes Fishing. And in this book, there's a story called Yellow Brick Road. And this was an important book and story for me because it was the first book full of stories that included Māori characters that were not myths. So it wasn't Maui, it wasn't Papatūānuku, it was real life stories and perspectives and views that I could connect to and relate to. So that was really important for me outside of my own books. In terms of any challenges for me while I'm writing and how I overcame these, well, when I first started writing, the most difficult thing for me was being able to write freely, like without any structure, any rules, no rules. Because I think growing up, what was drummed into me at school was being given a writing genre. So it was either description, narrative, procedure, recount, a report, then given the structure for that, and then rules to follow to complete it, and then you publish it. So since becoming an author, I've realized that writing actually isn't that straightforward. Some of my best ideas have come from things I notice, ideas or events that I've attended, a quote, a saying, even questions that I have or questions that I've been asked. So for me, the structure doesn't come until later. When I gather my ideas, connect them together, and then I kind of confirm the best structure for the writing or for the project that I'm writing for in the different platforms, because each space or each platform actually has its own audience. So what I've done, or what has actually helped me in writing more freely, is actually writing every day. So this has helped me because my ideas get to flow, and sometimes the most random thing I write about can help me with a story or an article I'm stuck with. And I think a lot of people forget that writing is a skill. So it's just like playing rugby, or it's just like playing a sport. When you haven't played it for a while, or when the season's finished and you don't play, you don't touch a ball, then you kind of come back to it again. You have to kind of go through the motions again of learning how to grab the ball again, how to throw it, how to sidestep. And it's the same for writing. So if we're not practicing it all the time, it can kind of be really hard to get back into the flow of things. So for me, writing freely has really, really helped, and writing every day. So when I mean every day, it doesn't mean that it has to be a novel every day. It could be a diary entry. It could be how you're feeling. I've written things on things about a colour, a texture. It could be about the weather. It could be about an emotion. It could be a question that you got asked. It could be an imaginary person or thing that you've thought about, or something that you'd love to see in the world, what your plans are. So it can be long, short, there's no rules, but it's really important to just write every day, so that you can keep the skill up. So that's what's really helped me. And I actually have always written. So when I first began to write, I've actually always written. I think all of us have written in some way. For me, it's been especially for work. I'm a teacher, so I taught writing, I've modelled writing, I've helped teachers teach writing. But as a published author, we launched Mila's Maingangana series in 2019. And since then, I've also written articles, poetry for different projects and online platforms. as well as my new young adult fiction book this year, Teine Sāmoa, which I'm really proud of. And that was actually written during the lockdown this year. So, yeah, that was a big accomplishment for me. And when I finished that, the feeling you get when you publish a book is pretty amazing. So I published Teine Sāmoa recently online in an ebook format because during the lockdown, when it was written, obviously the whole world was locked down. So printers who usually print books and distributors, everyone was at home. So I published it online because the internet was obviously not on lockdown. It was probably on overdrive actually. So the plan is to publish this book, but still publishing a book is a huge, huge thing. I'm always excited and nervous. Excited because it's a real book. It's not just an idea anymore. It's not an inquiry anymore. People are going to be able to read it for themselves, and they'll see it and they'll have their own ideas about it and own views and feedback. But that part also makes me nervous because what will people think? What will they say? What feedback will I get? Will they like it? Will they not like it? So to kind of get past that, I always make sure I hold on to my purpose and intention for the book. And all the books that I have, or my mission with my books, is to create a space that reflect our Pasifika tamaiti, our languages and our cultures, so that people can learn more about us, and so that we can also share our voices as Pasifika with the world and our world views as well. So I hold on to that. And as long as my intention is well intended, which I believe that is, and a lot of feedback I have received has told me also that it's a good intention, that I'm pretty sure that I will find support for my books, which I have, which has been great. So that's how I feel when I publish a book: excited and nervous. My favorite series of books, obviously Mila's Wainuiomata series, because it's quite close to my heart. Has a lot of personal stories and personal characters in them. Also the Pasifika Hero series by David Riley, and these books actually feature a number of important and prominent Pasifika people amongst a number of Pacific cultures. So there's one called Samoan heroes, there is the Tuglaoan heroes, there's Tongan heroes book, which is really, really cool to see because a lot of our Pasifika tamaiti, or a lot of our culture, is not necessarily seen in books, and our Pasifika tamaiti can't access them if they're not available, and books are the most easiest thing to have readily accessible information in that we can find ourselves in. So I'm just waiting for there to be a Pasifika history book for our kids, because that would be amazing too. Another series that's really important for me is the Te Sā series by Lani Went Young. And she is also a bit of a personal mentor as well. But her stories are really important for me because they are based or have really strong elements of our Samoan culture. Her characters as well are really relatable, and you can kind of connect with the stories that are told within her stories. And the Te Sā series is really interesting because I never thought I was into fantasy or young adult books, but until I kind of read her books, it opened up my mind to what is possible, and you can actually write about nearly anything, and it is good writers and good authors that help to engage you and sustain your engagement throughout the whole book from beginning, middle and end. And it is, for me, it's making sure that it's relatable and it connects to what I know or what I understand, or it challenges me. And her series and her books do. They make me think. I learn lessons from them. They also promote Pasifika languages and cultures. So the Te Sā series and Lani Went's books are really, really important books for me as well. How do I come up with ideas? So I think every writer gets stuck with ideas. And when I don't know what to do, there's a number of things I actually do that help me to get a bit clearer with ideas, or help me get unstuck. The first thing is actually taking a break from writing. I don't know, when I don't know what to do, I just literally leave it. I need to have a break, not even think about the task. I could do something as random as baking a cake, go and do some gardening, go and chat to my children, go out for dinner. And sometimes that mental break kind of takes the pressure away. It's like when you focus on something and you want it done so badly, it actually doesn't help that you're focusing too much on it. So having that break helps. And sometimes in that break, I pick up random ideas that help me with the task when I return to it. And I kind of then think about different ways or different strategies or tools or things I didn't think about, because my mind's a bit more alive and it's not as intensely focused on the task. So that's the first thing, taking a break from the writing. The second thing is when I need to kind of wake up my body. I feel like writing is a whole body process. It's not just ideas in your head. I exercise to help me to get my body moving and to wake my mind up, because when I'm feeling good and alert and I've had good rest and I've eaten some good food, I feel like my ideas flow a lot better, my mind's a lot clearer. So that's the second thing, exercise and looking after yourself. The third thing would be kind of the opposite. Sometimes when I've got too many ideas, and I like to talk, so I've got ideas going all the time, and not all my ideas are great, and they might be great for something else, but not necessarily always writing tasks, my ideas. So what I do that helps is I meditate, I get really quiet, I go in a room somewhere comfortable, and I just literally either turn on some nice quiet music, light some candles. I stop and focus on one thing until the key or main ideas kind of rise to the top, and I take note of them, and then I might not even notice them. I might take a break again and then come back to them, and then something sparked. So meditation really helps too. And the final thing that I think helps definitely helps me come up with ideas is reading. So when you read, you're reading writing. So when you write, you're writing for people to read. So when I read different things, I take note of how the author has used certain words or different words, their sentence structure, how they've conveyed messages, how they've actually kept my attention throughout the whole story, beginning, middle and end. Because the more books you kind of read, the more variety of writing you're actually exposing yourself to. So when you do read a lot, try to read a lot of different books, even books that you think you wouldn't even like. There's some books I've read that I had no idea that I would end up liking by the end of it. So sometimes you can't, actually most times you can't judge a book by its cover. And sometimes some of the stories I haven't liked, I even learnt from them. I learnt how I didn't like how the word was used. I didn't like how a paragraph was formed. I didn't like how even the ending ended. So you can kind of learn from all the books that you read and all the different types of stories you read. So it's really important that you do keep up reading, because reading and writing are connected. So that's me, my thoughts and questions. Whakataitele lava, mole awa noa, manuele aso. I just said thank you very much for the opportunity. Have a great day, and tō whāsoi fua. Goodbye from Dahlia Malaeulu.